extraordinary podcast. Come on. Come on. Woo. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast. Your song. Come on. Your song. Yeah. Just because you are. Your song. Your song. Woo. Believe it in your heart. Ooh. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast. Come on. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast. Woo. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in
Welcome
to the Be Extraordinary
podcast.
podcast. Let's go!
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing today? Good.
Welcome to the
Well,
Be Extraordinary
in the meantime-
podcast.
Welcome. Let's go!
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast.
Come on. Come on. Woo.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast. Your song.
Come on.
Your song.
Yeah.
Just because you are. Your song. Your song.
Woo.
Believe it in your heart.
Wow, week before Thanksgiving.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast.
Come on.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast.
Woo.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in
Yes.
Welcome
to the Be Extraordinary
podcast.
podcast. Let's go!
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast. We are so excited to have everybody on board with us this evening. You know who I am by now. Those who don't know who I am Joetta, a four-time Olympian. I'm a motivator, a leading authority on achievement and wellness, and I am the host of the show. I have my P's, as you know, have a purpose, get prepared, be patient, get perturbed, and persevere. And I have a co-host on the show, Mr. Tyrone Johnson, and he has his F's.
Thank you, Miss Joetta.
You're welcome.
Mr. Tyrone. I hear you, Mr. Tyrone. So my 5 F's, I live by these little principles every day. Faith, family, finance, fitness, and friends. And I always tell you the first 2 never change. The other 2 go up and down at the end.
Well, you know, that's so important that we have our P's and the F's. And I know the audience, you have some words of affirmations as well. And I think that is important for us to be able to have those words of affirmation, because they're the things that help us move from day on and have a great spirit. We're in studio, Design Creative. He is the guy that you would contact if you want to do anything regarding web design, videos, photography. He is the person, his information is right there. So please take time to take a screenshot of that and visit the website, and feel free to call him as well for all of your multimedia designs. That's AJ. And we have a check-in. Every week we have a check-in, and I have a check-in, but I'm gonna let Tyrone go first with his check-in. Do you have a check-in?
I do.
What's your check-in?
I have a check-in. I was presented this nice little gift card because November is what?
November is National Gratitude Day.
So
what'd you
me
get?
being a referee at the cross-country meet.
A referee or a track coach? I mean,
a ref.
official.
I'm the
A ref?
official, yes, or the head ref.
The head ref.
Yeah.
With the little red hat?
Yes. So before we started the county championship, Verona girls walked up to me and they gave me this little card, and they gave me a little gift card. And they said they appreciated the fact that not only did I show up at every single meet, but I was one of their favorites.
Wow, that is special. National.
No, you can't have it thrown on anything off this card. They
I was
sound
gonna
good.
say,
It
have
sound
some
good.
hot chocolate or something from Dunkin' Donuts. No,
Nah, they
all right,
said-
you deserve that.
yes.
Cross country is out there, it's cold. And you know, when people take time just to say thank you, it doesn't matter how they say it, as long as they say it. As Maya Angelou says, those are the two best words that you could ever say to someone, which are thank you. So thank you, Verona, for acknowledging Tyrone with all that he does. And again, this is National Gratitude Month. So we want you to understand that just take time throughout the month to say thank you and to show people that they are amazing by giving them something, being kind to them, saying something to them, because that gives everyone a deeper connection for the world around us.
And you know, it just made it warm my heart because I'm on the line and it's 100 kids out sometimes.
Yes.
Before we shoot the gun. And they walk towards me. I'm thinking I'm putting them on the line.
Okay.
So they had it behind their back. They said, Coach TJ, we just want to give you something. I'm like, give me what?
Yeah.
So when they presented that, now I want to like let them start a little early. So
but, give them a head start,
yeah,
right?
I was happy. You know, that just warmed I haven't even used it yet. And it's been 2 weeks ago.
You know what? I think that's what it was. They wanted to give them that so they can get a head start, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still won.
Oh, they won. Okay, good. National Gratitude Month. We have a video that we want to show you just to let you know that if someone doesn't do it for you, please take time and do it for yourself. Well, again, this month is National Gratitude Month, so make sure that you take care of yourself and others. And we have an amazing sponsor. WOCIP has been our sponsor for the entire month of November, Women of Color in Pharma. And we had an amazing convention this year down in South Jersey. And it was their 5th annual convention. And even though it was virtual and some people were there in person, it was dynamic, it was energetic, it was informative. It was a place that if you had anything to do with pharma or wanted to be part of that industry, that was the place to be, and it's an organization to join. So before we have our first guest come on, we're going to just show you a little bit about the organization in this next video. Well, thank you very much. That video was amazing. Honor, empower, and rise. That's exactly what we did down at the event. Our next guest will be Nero. And if you look at what she does, she's a health equity champion and a STEM advocate. And she is also a WOCIP member. So Taj, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Joetta and Tyrone. Did y'all love that video? That video is so fierce. I love that WOCIP video.
It is fierce. It is on fire. And I think the fire that we had down at the conference this weekend, that's going to continue the entire year and beyond. And speaking of fire, you know, he is was a retired firefighter. So I'm sure he would try to put that fire out. But I think we were really,
Nah, I'll let that one go.
yeah,
Y'all-
he gonna have to
y'all got
let, we
that.
were just
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much
yeah.
fire up in that
Yeah.
spot for him. So
Yeah, you
Taj,
can't fire out.
absolutely not. So Taj, could you be so kind? I didn't do your background any justice. So
Yeah.
could you please tell our audience a little bit about what you do, and then we're gonna go into the you being a member at WOCIP.
Sure. So the titles that you show on that slide are actually my passion and aspirational roles that I have in my heart. I do every day. Talk about that fire. That's the fire that's inside. But I am a medicinal sciences and technology project manager at GlaxoSmithKline. I've been in the pharma industry for about 18 years. I'm educated as a chemical engineer at the Pennsylvania State University. And I also serve on, actually, I'm a board member for the Women of Color and Pharma organization. And I've been a board member for the past 2 years, but I've been a member of the organization for 5 years now.
And I tell you, when you say the Penn State University, and then you go on and talk about all of your amazing credentials, I am very honored to have you on the show. I know Tyrone is as well, but I wanted to say, by being a member of WOCIP, what have you learned? What have you gotten out of that organization thus far?
So there's some really compelling research that's been conducted every year for the past few years. McKinsey and an organization called Lean In do the women in the workplace research, and they look all across industry, and really it's a state of women in industry. And one of the things that I say WOCIP did for me was get me past the broken rung. So, you know, in the career ladder, McKinsey talks a lot about that broken rung and moving past, you know, entry-level positions into leadership roles and into management roles. And WOCIP was instrumental in that for me. You know, the pharma industry, there is disparity for underrepresented groups, and WOCIP was designed and created to, you know, using research, you know, to understand the disparities for Black and Latino women. And the organization was designed around how we can transform the pharmaceutical industry, because, you know, talking about fire, we're here, we're in the pharmaceutical industry. Many of us have been here, and WOCIP gives us the keys and, you know, the things that we need to know to either get out of our own way or to start moving up that ladder.
And that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, you know, when the organization was being, you know, formed, me being a male, alpha male, and saying, why did you want to do an organization for WOCIP? Like, what was the why? And you answered it a little bit, but.
Yeah. The founders of WOCIP actually, I like to think of them in my head almost as superheroes. You know, many of them have been in the industry for so many years, and, you know, trying to crack that code to figure out why so many talented women are not within the C-suite. There's so much data and research out there. I'll reference back to the McKinsey report though, but when you look at the differences in just comparing women and men, the number of women that are in the C-suite. So being in the C-suite means you're making decisions, you're setting the strategy, you're the face of the industry. So when you think about the amount of money that women spend, we're the ones that schedule the doctor's appointments, we're the ones that take everybody to the doctor, you know, for women not to be represented you know, equally. When you look at the population, we're pretty much 50-50, right? But for Black women and for Latino women, it's even smaller. I think the statistic is there's probably, you know, 1 to 25 ratio for Black and Latino women within the C-suite. Rather, you know, for maybe Caucasian women, maybe it's 10 or something like that in the C-suite, but still not, you know, the numbers don't match the population demographics. So yeah, WOCIP was created to really strategically pick away at and understand where the disparity is, and then to transform that and to put more women of color into decision-making positions.
And, you know, I want you to talk about this, because when we hear a pharmaceutical positions. I think our audience that's not members of WOCIP don't understand the many jobs and careers. So
Oh.
can you speak briefly about what you do? And then just talk about some other careers in the management and VP and C-suite possibilities that we have for women.
Yeah, so like I said, I graduated with a degree in chemical engineering. I started out actually in a manufacturing facility. So you call it facilities operations, where we actually made medicine for patients. 24-hour facility, round the clock manufacturing. And I mean, we were adding components and handling, biopharmaceutical drug, each night. Just the media that we used is, $250,000. So that's, a lot of pressure, just to put it kind of like on scale.
Yes.
I progressed through the pharmaceutical industry, quality and compliance, risk management. And today I'm a project manager, and I work in the chemistry manufacturing controls area. So again, leveraging some of my compliance background and my manufacturing background. And basically what I do is I clear the way for drugs to get from discovery to our patients. So yeah.
That's important. So what we have you do too is put in the chat some of the different career options, because I know people do not know them. And I was not aware of all of them either, but by going to the events and reading about what you're doing, I see that there's so much out there for you to do. And being a member of WOCIP, it does, like you said, several things, but one, it makes you confident about yourself that you can ask and move up and have a group of women behind you saying, yes, you can.
That's so important, Joetta. That confidence and that realization, I think, is life-changing for a lot of women of color. Walking into a room and, you showed the video, but what you don't see in that video is entrepreneurs. There are CEOs, there are vice presidents, there are people who are movers and shakers in this industry, and they look fabulous doing it. But for the rest of us, WOCIP almost forces you, and I don't even want to say almost, because for sure in my life, WOCIP has forced me to level up in a lot of different ways. WOCIP is an organization that not only talks about, the industry, WOCIP talks about how to develop yourself. WOCIP has curated programming for you to understand your brand, how to present your brand, how to tell your story, and one of the biggest things that WOCIP does is to enact change for health equity. So making sure that all of our patients are getting the same opportunities for healthcare as others. So, I mean, you walk into that room and every single time, I'm at a WOCIP conference, and it's been difficult for the past, couple of years because of this pandemic, but there's a little piece of glitter to that. So, pandemic has given us some silver linings. I'm just pulling little pieces of glitter, but a part of that glitter is having a global organization with people across, they're not missing out, because now we have the virtual platform. We have the power of the collective, as we like to say, and WOCIP. And that means, all of us side to side, so much sisterhood, really a holistic program. There's always a self-care component. There's always someone there to do fitness, try to get us in shape, try to motivate us, and it's transformative for our lives. And then we show up differently.
Right. And I think we talked about the fitness pieces that hopefully we'll be down there next year with you. But the most important thing is we talk about self-care and self-preservation. So seeing the ladies getting up and being excited about working out in the mind, body, and spirit, that's important. We have a question here, and they want to ask about they hate taking the surveys. So how important is it for us to take surveys? Should I answer the survey, or should I just toss it out?
Surveys as far as for your health?
Yes.
Or
I was.
It's all for the health.
I guess it's the health survey. Yes.
Surveys, clinical trials, all of these things that, historically people of color, there have been egregious things in the healthcare industry,
Yes.
but the only way we understand how a drug works in our bodies is by being there. You need volunteers to come forward and participate in clinical trials. And, one of the things that WOCIP is doing is trying to understand how we can get to the patients, breaking the old paradigms that have been in place that are structurally preventative, that stop people from getting in there. But the only way that your voice is heard, the only way people know, what your thoughts are, or, you want to be a part of that data set, it's important, just like voting. It's so important for us to get out and vote, because that's the only way your voice is heard. So take the survey. It's only a couple minutes. It's not that bad.
Take the survey, volunteer, because then they have data that's relevant to
Exactly.
women of color, Latinos as well. So I think that was a really good question to have you answer. So thank you. And if you don't mind, put in the chat during the show some different career options for people in pharma, and especially if you have some younger people. I know we talked about that. WOCIP is really big on scholarships. They gave 2 young ladies that were amazing. They're studying neurosurgery and neurobiology and all this way out there that I can't even comprehend that level of knowledge base. And they received scholarships from the organization. Our foundation gave out scholarships as well. And some of our mentees are coming back and saying that they are in that field. So it was important for me to tell them to tune in and listen to the conversations of women in fields that they want to go to.
Yes, WOCIP always talks about lift as we climb. We partner with nonprofit organizations. There really is so much. And, when you think about WOCIP had its 5th annual conference.
Yes.
We've only had 5 conferences, y'all. And WOCIP is already enacting policy and, going out there and being the change that we want to see in the world, and bringing everybody else along with us.
And you can give credit to Dr. Charlotte and Patricia for having the vision and
Yes.
foresight, and to put it out there for women to just gravitate toward. There was a need. And it's just not an organization that's out there just having pretty clothes and things like that. You're implementing change. And at the show, we always say you tune in to hear conversations with leaders and people in authority to help you be better. And there's nothing worse than wasting an hour or a weekend somewhere where there's nothing happening. And I can assure you that things were happening in person and also virtually.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, it's such a blessing to the platform that we use with the SCARE group is partnering with women of color in pharma. And, whoever signed up for the conference, they actually can go back for, and I don't even know, I won't speak out of place, but I don't know how long you can go back and look at everything that was going on, because there was so much content that WOCIP put together, and there were different tracks, for younger people coming out of school. There were, for, executives, there's so many connection points. There was a networking lounge, so many different ways that WOCIP is, again, looking at that disparity and pulling every different way we can to make sure that there are pathways for women of color in the pharmaceutical industry and in healthcare.
And we talk about teamwork makes the dream work. It is an amazing team. And I was honored to have the opportunity to speak as well in one of the breakout sessions. And I really enjoyed having a conversation with you, sidebar, and then also for the youngsters that were there. And I think my takeaway is that I will tell everyone that I know of these opportunities in the career, because people don't realize that, and to join the organization. Last question before we go to our next segment is, do you have to be in pharma to be a member of WOCIP?
So you don't have to be in pharma to be a member of WOCIP. The organization, like we said a bit earlier, is approaching us holistically. So it's actually, that's an interesting question. So, you know, I'm a person who for many years of my career, I'm always a part of an organization. I'm always going to listen to talks. When I started going to talks at WOCIP, I felt so seen.
Okay.
And I felt like my experience, I didn't have to start at, you know, ground level to explain my experience, because a lot of these experiences that women have are lived experiences that, you know, although Black is not a monolith, so, you know, there's all different types and places and ways that, you know, we show up and we are represented, but being able to tap into that mindset. There are entrepreneurs, you'll hear a couple of the ladies who are so motivating, you know, in the next couple of segments, but listening to these women and the bravery, just being so courageous in what they're doing. And, you know, their HR people, you know, that come to the conference, people in tech, you know, we had a futurist the one year, a Black futurist, and it was amazing. And she's talking about things that, you know, you only see in books. It's like a sci-fi, you know, type of thing. We had an artificial intelligence expert come who's in the pharmaceutical industry, because it's so broad. But, you know, WOCIP is for anyone. And if you want to learn more about the pharmaceutical industry, there's the technical aspects. If you're trying to level up, and like I was trying to do, get myself some exercise in, there's that component. If you want to go to a ball, you know, and get dressed up, there's that component. There's so many different ways to connect.
And it's the sisterhood there. And there was some brave men there as well. At the event. Don't look at me like that. There were some brave men there. As a matter of fact, you had two men that will be on the board coming up. So thank you for bringing that point out. We're at the point now, Taj, where we have to go to our Joe Time health tip, but we're not going to let you off the hook yet. We have a little bit more time. I know you have a big day. You're speaking of future women. Your daughter's birthday is today. So there's nothing wrong with celebrating her birthday and the future of our country. So I'm not going to hold you much longer, but we do want you to stay around, put that information in the chat as to the website and the different careers in the industry. And we'll revisit you shortly.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show. And we have our Joe Time health tips up now, and this part of the show is really special, not only for myself, but for Tyrone. He puts a lot of time and energy into making it relevant. So the health tip today is having a healthy relationship with food.
Do you have a healthy relationship with food?
I do. I have a great relationship with food.
Okay. Now,
all kinds of food.
I thought about this. For a while now, because a lot of people keep coming up to me because we did the Joe Time Fitness 28-day challenge.
Yes.
And the only thing I changed was the amount of food I ate, the time frame in between the food, and I drank more water, and I lost 20 pounds in 28 days. So with this, what does it mean to have a healthy relationship with food? Having a healthy relationship with food means stop looking at food as a reward for exercise. People do this, they win something, they get promoted, and then they celebrate, they go out, drink, eat, whatever. That's fine. We have to stop making conscious efforts to put healthy and nutritious foods into our body. We should start identifying stuff before we eat it. Like a lot of times I would go to the store now and I would look on the back of the label, and if it doesn't say added sugar, I'll pick it up. Every now and then I would eat things but I've been doing that for the longest. So these are some of the things that happen in our system with bad foods, obesity, diabetes, it's massive, our relationship with food. Food, we have to have food, but if you eat the good stuff and put the nutritional stuff in your system, your mood will be better, your well-being, you'll just look better, okay? Bad stuff is every now and then, but not every single day, Joe.
Not every day,
Not
right.
every day. You
not
just
how
can't.
not you can. It's not
No, because
healthy.
everything we do, every time you look at the screen, especially at a football game, the commercial is pizza.
Yeah.
It's soda, it's a hot dog, it's the, and you got this little bowl of grapes or good stuff.
Yeah, healthy foods.
Yes. So the foods that we consume affects our mind and our emotions. Therefore, eating healthy choices more often will make you feel good.
Yes.
It does it for me. Okay, these are some of the things to have a good relationship with food. Eat slower. Okay, plan ahead. I cut my food up now before I walk out the house. Strawberries, pineapples, watermelon, little baggies.
Yeah.
And every 2 hours, I just munch on them. I drink a whole lot of water. I mean, 6 to 8 of these every day, and it flushes my system. Eat smaller meals.
Yes.
Eat lots of fiber, things that have fiber in them. Don't go to the grocery store.
Yeah. Hungry, right?
Yeah, hungry. And every hour you go down, you're picking something, putting in the cart. And what they do, they set us up at the line when you're about to pay because everything is snacks and cookies and this and that. You be like, I'll just grab one.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't buy and store junk food. A lot of times what we buy when it gets colder and we're secluded, that's what you're gonna eat. As soon as you open the refrigerator or the cabinet, you're gonna eat it. That's what you see. Eat lots of protein and never skip what, Joe?
Never skip breakfast.
Yes.
That breaks the fast, as we know.
We always say those two words that's together. Once you sleep 8-9 hours and you wake up, you're breaking your fast. That's your breakfast.
Right.
And the physical hunger versus emotional hunger, you'll see at some things, work hand in hand. Okay. And I think we have another
slide
after this. Okay. These are some of the health tips that we have. Some of the habits that we do. How often and when do you eat? Like we always say, try to do between 2 and 3 hours. Don't wait to get hungry. Wake up in the morning, don't eat till 12 o'clock. That's gonna mess your system up.
Have small little snacks.
Yes,
maybe
small
2 hours.
snacks.
Yes.
Social gatherings. A lot of times people meet up. Everything is an appetizer. By the time you're done with the appetizer, you don't want to eat.
Yes.
Be careful with that. Psychological things that go through your mind, what's that? Our senses.
Yes, the senses, yes.
The senses, for example, some of the meals that we see people eating, we might want it.
Right.
Be careful with that, the cravings and things like that. And same thing, food as a reward. We do that. I should do that with my daughter. They win this championship and we go out to pizza, but that wasn't always.
Yeah, that's every now and then. That's not a consistent behavior.
No, you gotta be mindful of what you're putting in your system. A lot of times I told everybody come up to me every day, even the day I told Joetta, somebody walked up to me and looked at me and said, and I got a lot of stuff on. I guess they saw my face. Wow, you lost a lot of weight. What do you mean a lot of weight?
Yes.
I lost some weight.
Yes.
But they looking at it where I look like a totally different person.
Yes.
And the only thing I told you that I did was I just ate clean.
Yes.
I still eat chips and cookies and everything. So this is a questionnaire. I don't know if you guys can see it, but some of the questions on the questionnaire that we have, simple things. Do you watch what other people eat and use that to determine what you might want to eat?
Right.
Can you leave some cookies on the plate because you can have some for tomorrow?
Right.
Yes, you can do that. These questions are yes and no questions. Do you usually pick foods based on the caloric intake? I do that all the time.
Yes.
And we're going to give you one more question that, might just be something that you might want to ask yourself. And that is what, Joe?
Can you eat when you're hungry and quit when you are satisfied? In other words, do you just keep going, or is there a point where your brain says that's enough?
Yes. And the time of day, like I said, right now it's 6 o'clock and we go to, we still hungry. So eat, you got to keep going until, you're good. And we always have a bottom line. So what's the bottom line, Ms.
The
Joe?
bottom line is we don't have a choice, so we must eat, but be mindful of our relationship with food and how we eat. We can enjoy our food healthfully. So food is not a quick fix. It's not. What do you say? You eat to be healthy. You don't, what is that?
Live to eat.
Yeah, you live to eat, right. So you eat to be healthy and you don't live to eat. And so let's get that together. So at Joetta Fitness, we believe in all of that. We meet you where you are.
Yes.
So if that's what you were doing, by the time you get done with our program, you will be eating healthy and have
And
a
you
lifestyle
would
change.
just everything would change.
Would change,
Just
yes.
by that, just those little small tips.
Wow. But thank you for sharing your Joe Time Health tips,
You're
Tyrone.
welcome.
And now we have our next lovely guest that will grace the stage as well. Atiba Page. If you look at her, she is a diversity and inclusion disruptor, a patient advocate, and she is also a WOCIP member. So Atiba, thank you for taking time to be on our podcast this evening.
Let me get
Thank
Atiba.
you.
You're welcome. I had an opportunity to hear your amazing story that we will touch as well as talk about everything that you've learned in doing at WOCIP. I'm going to have to start first by saying that it's a testament to pharmaceutical that you are still here to tell your story. But before we go there, I just want to say, I think you said you're from Newark. Did you mention Newark?
I'm from Somerset, New Jersey.
Somerset, New Jersey.
Oh.
Okay, Somerset, New Jersey. And you are a member of WOCIP. So what inspired you? What made you want to join this organization? And give us a little bit of your background before you go into that as well.
So first of all, thank you and Mr. Tyrone for having me on your
You're welcome.
podcast.
Yes.
My name is Atiba Page. I am from Somerset, New Jersey. I am a diversity and inclusion disruptor. So what that means is I ask individuals to join me in causing healthy disruptions by going into places that they're not used to culturally. So
Wow.
different HBCUs event, different affinity group events, etc. So what brought me to WOCIP is I actually worked with Miss Charlotte Jones Burton at my current company, Bristol Myers Squibb. And just
Okay.
being able to watch her in action, I wanted to stay connected to that type of energy and power. So
Yes.
joining WOCIP was a no-brainer for me.
And I think Dr. Charlotte is someone that we keep referencing. She seems to touch and inspire and empower everyone. Her slow, deliberate speech pattern, but her knowledge base, what she did as a doctor in her career, in addition to what she's doing now with the Japanese company, breaking the C-suite, and she's reaching back, helping others get there. And that's what it's all about. Don't go to the C-suite and say, hey, how y'all doing down there? That's not what she's doing. She has reached back and tries to help people out to make sure that there's some representation there as well. So you have a passion that you have, and Tyrone was going to speak to you about that because you two will connect in this area as well.
Yeah, so I understand that you had stage 4 breast cancer.
Yes,
Okay.
I am a current metastatic breast cancer survivor.
Oof. And right now, my mom was in that situation over 20 years ago.
Wow.
So, and it was, not the medicine and all of those things weren't as they are now. So when she went through it, the testing was through the 6 kids, and I wound up being the blood donor. So for 6-7 years, I donated, my blood to my mom, and she went in remission and everything. And I was just so happy for that. And, it actually changed my life from that point in 93 to now. I stopped eating red meat, everything. I changed my whole diet. And I want to just thank you for the things that you're continuing to do for everybody and going through your situation, because God blesses those people, especially like you.
I thank you for that, because the one thing that I want to make sure individuals understand, it's definitely important for us to have a healthy relationship with food. I think often we're celebrated as being thick or this and that in our community when obesity is linked to cancer. Like so for us to be able to understand having a better relationship with food, understanding that we should get up and move for 20 to 30 minutes every day will help us prolong our life.
And I've seen it. I remember when my mom, the first diagnosis, the stress comes, the depression. She stopped working and lost her hair and everything. So my sister, which she's a nurse now in Florida, one of the most touching situations that I've seen with my mom, because I was in a hospital at the time, she had a little hat on and just took it off and threw it and started crying. And my sister walked in the room and she had cut all her hair off, and it just made my mom laugh and everything. And that just made my day. Then my mom just got stronger and stronger, and then she walked right out of there, you know. So we got to keep our spirit, our mind, our insides as strong as the outside.
What is your
Yes.
organization called?
So I have an organization called Chronic Cuties, and Chronic Cuties was birthed out of my cancer diagnosis, because I can say for 39 years, I never experienced trauma. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 39, which gave me the opportunity to get to know individuals that I may have never met.
Yes.
So because of that, I want to make sure, of course, everybody talks about cancer, but there are so many other chronic illnesses in our communities, diabetes, heart disease, so many different things that I want to make sure that I'm bringing awareness and attention to, in addition to cancer.
Yes.
Wow. And how does WOCIP help you get through not only your cancer, but also motivate you in your workplace and workspace?
So I can honestly say that WOCIP gave me the opportunity to be seen as a patient, but respected as a colleague in pharma. Normally, when people hear that you have cancer, they tend to want to overcompensate and patient,
Yes.
which at some point, I know that my life may get there, but right now I want to serve as long as I'm well. And WOCIP allows me the opportunity to do that by sharing my story, helping to educate, and just being able to use my voice to reach the masses, because I don't want another woman to lay in bed for 10 days and cry like I did.
And how did you detect your cancer? Was it through self-examinations?
Yes, that's a great question. So when you get that little bit of voice from God, when things are quiet, I listen. So something just told me to lay down and do a self-examination. And the reason why I say that is because when I was standing up, I couldn't feel my lump. However, when I laid down, I can feel my lump.
Okay.
So by me finding the lump, I made an appointment with my primary, and then I went for my first mammogram and ultrasound, and it was determined that I had cancer.
At 39.
At 39, yes,
Wow.
ma'am.
And I'm not sure, I've been taking them for so many years now. I can't remember when I had my first one, but I can tell you, I remember when I had my last one. In a couple of more months, I will have my next one. So I may not know when I had my first one, but I do know now. I go back regularly, and even I've been blessed and haven't had any scares. It's still
Thank God.
traumatic for me every time I go in there. And I just think that I don't know, even as a motivational speaker, someone that motivates everyone else, it's something that you just hear about, and you just pray that it's not you. Having my friends being diagnosed and people that I love being diagnosed. So I understand that piece, and never being in your shoes, but it's a testament to God. And then what also do you attribute you being here? Was it the medicine? Was it your support team?
So it's definitely medicine and support. The one thing that I really appreciate about attending the WOCIP conference is I'm in arm's reach of a neuroscientist or a medical doctor. Those that can tell me. I honestly met someone who told me about treatment for individuals living with stage 4 that I wouldn't have heard of if I didn't attend the WOCIP conference. So just being able to be educated earlier on the types of choices and resources that are accessible to me, I definitely get that from the WOCIP conference.
Yeah, that's why when me and Joetta talk about statistics or just doing a study, a lot of times people don't do them, but when they get in that situation, you get a yes or no answer. Would you like this drug, or would you not like this drug?
Right.
Would you want to go through this trial or not? It's too late. So you got to make up 10 seconds, you got to make up your mind.
And I know with my mother, she had pancreatic cancer. And I tell you, I became a pancreatic doctor. I don't know what the correct name is, within a month.
Yes.
I had my degree. I was studying, I was reading. And when they would tell me we're going to try this, no, we're not going to try anything. Let's hear some data. Does this apply to someone that's 80 years old? And so that was really tough. So I think to WOCIP, even though we talk about leveling up. I had to level up and say, hey, I may not be medically trained, but you're not going to just give my mother anything.
Yeah.
And we have to have an advocate. I didn't have the resources of WOCIP at my fingertips like you did, and that's a blessing. But it is just really important for you to not just take and do whatever they say. Make sure that you know that that is the best possible solution for you at your current state, if possible. Sometimes you have to make a decision quickly, so you have to do that. But if you have time to research and reach out and touch, make sure that you do that. So thank you very much, Atiba, for sharing your story.
Yes.
Please put your foundation information in the chat so people can look at your website and see how they can support you. That's what it's all about. We do have a question that we want to ask before we go to our next two guests.
Miss
So we
Sophia.
can ask this question, ask you a quick question, Sophia, please. Thank you.
Hi, it's coming from my fiance, Christopher. I don't know if you can see him. Okay.
Hi, Christopher. We see
How you
you.
doing?
Christopher.
Actually, my
man.
first name is Otis. My
Oh.
nickname is Chris.
Okay.
But anyway, my mother died of pancreatic cancer, and she was 43 years old, and that was in 1990. And so she suffered for many years. I'm talking about she became disabled in her early 20s. And so I watched her suffer for many years, and I wish I'd have known what I know now, a little bit about, chemotherapy and things like that, because God knows I want to do more for her. And she suffered, but she went out like a champ.
Yeah.
And I watched her suffer for many years and going through chemo and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yes.
And there's nothing like seeing your loved ones suffer, but the thing that you do is you learn, and then you take precautions for yourself
Yes.
and
Yes.
other people, so that they won't go through that same
Yes.
stage. We're gonna
Thank you.
thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
We're gonna bring up our next guest, which would be Kimberly Waters. And Kimberly, I met at the conference as well. She's a territory account manager, sales entrepreneur, and WOCIP member. So Kimberly, thank you very much for gracing our show this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We talked about having you on the show, but we didn't know it would be this quickly. It was a turnaround of maybe 4 days. Thank you.
It's
for
a
being on.
pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
So could you please tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved in WOCIP?
Sure. So good evening, everyone. Thank you again for having me. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for 17 years in the role as a territory account manager. So I'm on the sales side. And I currently live and work here in New York City, Harlem to be exact. And I work for an organization that helps people living with HIV. So I'm super proud of the work that I do. In addition to working in the pharmaceutical industry, I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a fragrance company called Muse, Modern Urban Sensory Experiences. It's Harlem's only fragrance destination, probably the only one in New York City that's Black owned. So I do both, and I have done both simultaneously since 2012. So it's definitely a lot at times, but both of them are fulfilling to me in their own way. So, so I'm an entrepreneur. I work in the pharmaceutical industry. I've been a part of WOCIP for a little over a year now, and it has been one of the best professional years of my life.
Wow.
I joined WOCIP after scrolling on LinkedIn because I was looking for an external way to develop myself professionally. And they were, it was something posted that advertised their GLA program, the program that allows you to participate wherever you are in your career.
Yes.
So it's a global leader accelerator program. And I was like, you know what, that's me. I'm ready to move up. I raised my hand, I applied, and it was more than I could expect as far as everything that I've gotten thus far from the organization and also the program. So it was just by a whim, and it was a good whim it was, because it gave me so much. And it's still giving me. So
that was like divine intervention. And sometimes we join organizations that just take our membership fees and they don't really have our career movements and our goals at hand. So also you had an organization that understood and understands, but more importantly, you're going to do the work. They're not going to do the work for you.
Oh, no.
But they have a lot of programs for you to get better as you climb up the ladder. What we're going to ask you to do is, we have some more questions, but we're going to ask you to put your information in the chat, especially regarding your perfume and your colognes, because it's Christmas time, and what better way to have people go visit your website. So put that in the chat as well.
So the perfume, hint, hint, Joetta perfume is Christmas time.
Yes.
So will anybody on this podcast be getting anything from Joetta since?
we go to my shameless plug a little bit later on.
I'm just checking.
Yeah,
so I'm getting back to Miss Kimberly. Miss Kimberly, what has been the biggest learning point since you joined, became a member of WOCIP?
Oh man, that's a loaded question, because I could, just share so many things. But one of the biggest takeaways so far as being a member of WOCIP is, again, going back to what Taj said earlier, just a sense of community. And I am big on authenticity. I am big on community, and I'm big on people. So WOCIP allows you to bring all those three together. It has allowed me to bring all those three together to really put myself out there, feel confident doing it, and knowing that no matter where I am in my career, what title I have, who I aspire to be in this industry, WOCIP is going to be behind me, beside me, and in front of me to help me get there. So that's a big thing, big takeaway. And I've only learned that with them just being an organization for a year. So their impact is immediate. You feel it right off the bat. So that's one thing that I would say that has stuck with me, and they live what they say.
And that's important. By the way, so many people say they're going to give you this or can do this, and they don't do that. I guess being an honorary member of WOCIP, I do see that what they say they're going to do, the programs they're going to have, the support and help they're going to do, they definitely do that. And so Kimberly, we have another Kim, and this Kim, I'm going to tell you, she stuck out from the very beginning because her name was Kimberly Gray. And my cousin's name is Kimberly Gray, but she's named also after my mother. So it was Kimberly Joetta Gray. And I remember saying that to her, not knowing in 4 days she would be on the show as well. So thank you, Kimberly, for being on the show. She's an associate director of integrated scientific operations over at Bristol Myers Squibb. And she's going to grace this show as well with her pretty face and the knowledge, and give us a little bit more information about what you do in the pharmaceutical world, as I've learned that it is.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me on the show. Didn't we have a great time at the conference?
We did. It was amazing. We were dancing, we were networking, we were listening to each other, we were uplifting each other. And Tyrone, don't look at me like that.
I'm just saying, it's all women.
It's all women, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's going to be a way that I'm sure men can support us as well. But right now,
my purse. Come on, Joe.
Hold my purse. Hey, Kim, they can wear a matching tie to match our red dress, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But getting back to you, could you just give us some background about your pharmaceutical background, please?
Okay, my name is Kimberly Gray, and I am a project manager in the translational medicine department at Bristol Myers Squibb. I helped the team to strategize on getting our biomarker data on time for clinical studies, for the scientists to make those decisions that need to be made. In my former life, I was a bench scientist, so I worked in the lab as a research scientist for almost 20 years and loved it, but moved on to Bristol Myers Squibb. I changed companies, and I've been at Bristol for about 7 years now.
Okay, so when you changed your career, WOCIP was not around. So when you joined the organization, has that helped you move up, or are you at a point now where you're comfortable? I'm not sure of your career path in that company.
So I am not comfortable. What I learned when I came over to, like I said, I was in the research in early drug discovery. So I was in research, and moving over to the business side of pharma, there are so many things that you can do on that side. Taj put a lot of those job opportunities in the chat. And learning that and knowing that with your background, with my background as a scientist, I can make connections to those in those different positions. It's exciting to know the trajectory of my career. So I've definitely already made 2 moves since I've been at Bristol Myers Squibb. And yes, WOCIP has been instrumental. Just the power of the collective, knowing that coming in to the organization, hearing the amazing stories from the different women, how they've made moves, how they've pivoted from one type of role to another. All these things, all these lessons that you learn, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So yes, WOCIP has been instrumental.
And I think even though Tyrone is a male, in his field as a firefighter, all you think about initially is putting out fires.
Right.
And there's so many different careers in that field as well.
Yeah, and that's what I like so much about your organization, because when I first became a firefighter and we started to do things, I said, Dak, I got to fight fire for 25 years. No. It was community relation, it was arson, it was special operation, it was USAR, boat team. Yeah. And those things got my interest because, you know, I always like to, like you said, elevate and move up and do some things. And you guys are just extraordinary. That's the name of the podcast?
Yes, be extraordinary.
They're super.
Right, they are. They're rock stars. I'm telling you. I mean, we were saying some other names, some bad people. I won't say that because this is we're not a coffee, but we're some bad women. And I just was thankful and blessed to be in the company because iron sharpens iron. And what it did for me was help me to think of what I'm going to do next to elevate. You all were saying how great my presentation was and blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting here saying, what in the heck? I went back and looked. Great. You are great. What you're doing is great. Clinical tests, running information, making sure that women, Latino and Black women are being heard or being seen, making sure that it's just not there now that it's cool to be D&I. That's the cool thing, right? Yes. What's going to happen tomorrow when it's not cool? Are you going to still be committed? And the women there are making sure that is what's going on. So have you been, what else have you been doing over at your company?
What else have I been doing over at my company? Yes. So working in, before this position, I was a protocol manager for non-clinical studies. So that was the way that I was able to enter in from doing bench science as a researcher to move into the business side. I was able to leverage my knowledge in research and come into the business and learn so much about clinical trials and clinical opportunities in that area also. And now in my position, I'm learning even more about clinical trials and how they make decisions doing that. And so, but you would mention that there are so many different opportunities as if, you know, when you're in the firefighter industry, that is the wonderful thing about WOCIP is that it's level agnostic. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. There is something for everyone, and there's something for every type of field there also. We cater to your professional development, but we also cater to your personal development also.
Yes, that's important. Well, it's a sound body, sound mind, that it was a sound future. And definitely the future looks bright over at WOCIP and what you're going to be doing moving forward. I heard some of the action items that you're going to do. So I look forward to seeing that come to fruition. We had another question that we wanted to ask you as well.
Okay, what would you tell a man who might not appreciate or understand the WOCIP mission?
What would I tell a man
Yeah.
that may not appreciate the WOCIP mission,
Mm-hmm.
Or understand.
Yeah.
may not understand it? Well, you know, we're different, right? It's different. We women come to the table with different perspectives, different ideas, and we encourage one another. We love community. You always see women, you know, chatting about whatever their issue is, and not only do we get together and we chat about it, but we solve the problem, right? We get
Yes.
things done. And so, you know, we make the business case we get it done if
Yes.
you allow us to be together. And I feel like you're asking that question, like, you know, if your manager or maybe even your husband was like, well, why are you going there? Well, you see the return, right? You see people, we level up, we come back, we're electric, we're excited, we're sharing, we're encouraging one another, we're making connections. And
Yes.
and when I talk about connections, I don't mean just like, oh, you know, let's get together and chat and have drinks. We're talking about real connections. Oh, I know about a job. Send me
Right.
your resume. I heard about someone over here that needs help. And even on the level of entrepreneurship, right? You come and we don't just talk about it. We actually do it. We encourage to use each other's products or whatever it is that the person is advertising, and then you have a whole network there also.
And that is amazing. I think that, like I said, organizations like WOCIP, there may not be many of them, especially for women of color in pharma, and to have this organization supporting and being a board member, seeing your return, that's important. So speaking of return, we're going to have our other three amazing guests come on and return and have some closing remarks. If there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and ask in the chat any questions. We're going to go, and I don't know if Kimberly Waters had to leave. It is her daughter's birthday. I'm sorry, Taj had to leave. It is her daughter's birthday. So if she had to go, that's okay. We just wrap up, and we do a reverse wrap up. We'll wrap up with Kimberly Gray, and then we go to Kimberly Waters, and we end up with Abina. You know what? I'm saying Abina because I have a dear friend named Abina, and it's Atiba.
Yeah.
So I apologize for saying that. I always say when they mess up my name, I've been called a lot worse. So, so if you don't mind, Kimberly Gray, could you please just give us a takeaway? I see Taj, and she's back.
Oh,
But,
she is?
yeah, Taj came back. So
okay.
Kimberly Gray, could you just give us a takeaway, a wrap up for the audience, and then we'll just go in reverse order.
So I just want to let everyone know that WOCIP is here to change the landscape of the pharmaceutical industry. And if you aren't connected, if you're not a member, get connected. Go to the website and find out all about it. There is so much WOCIP has to offer. You will truly grow and learn.
And that website, we'll put that in the chat is WOCIP, Women of Color in Pharma.org. So please do that as well. And the next, Kimberly Waters out of Harlem. Thank you very much for all that you've done as well, especially with your product and being young as a member and being able to offer something as well as they move forward. So what would you say in closing to our audience?
I would say WOCIP welcomes everyone. So if you are interested in any capacity, whether you're just curious or you want to learn, you want to associate, we are a very welcoming organization. We treat you like family because you are family, and we will walk the journey right along with you. So WOCIP equals welcome, and everyone is welcome.
That's good. I like that. Atiba, thank you very much for all that you've done, and continue good health for you as you move forward.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing, is that you have been here with us at stage 4 cancer to tell your story.
That's right.
So we appreciate that. So could you talk about a closing remark on your part?
So first things first, I am going to reach out. I need to join your joy time because this weight must go.
Yes.
But what I will say is broken crayon still color.
Yes.
And I appreciate that WOCIP gives me the opportunity to still be me, even though cancer is a blip on my journey, I still get the color.
Yes,
Ooh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Color. Yes, yes. So, and we will definitely, we'll talk about being part of Joe Time after the show. Thank you. As we always say at Joe Time Fitness, we meet you where you are. So wherever you are in your fitness, mental and wellness and spiritual journey, we're there to meet you.
Thank you.
And to Taj, you opened up and now you get a chance to close out.
You know, I want to say, and I want to remind everybody that your authenticity and who you are as an individual, your unique brand, what you bring to the table is your superpower. You know, whether if it's in pharma, whether if it's in the world, whatever it is, just by being you, right? God created one you. So the best you that you can be is needed in this world. And that's where innovation comes from. That's where brilliant thought comes from. And to be your best self, you need to, health is your wealth, right?
Yes.
Health is your wealth. And making sure that, you know, you're walking this path and along this journey as your authentic, brilliant, wonderful self is, you know, that's just be the best you can be. That's all we can ask for.
Well, thank you very much for that. We're not going to have you leave yet because we have a little bit more time. But Tyrone, in the closing, I know you have something that you want to say. Maybe not a shameless plug, but I know you want a membership and
I want to become a member.
Remember, but I tell you what, maybe not next
Come
year.
on, Tyrone.
T-shirt, you would have t-shirt. We're gonna come
Tyrone,
down.
get you some bling.
I'm in. No,
Yes.
Bling, come on, Tyrone.
I want that t-shirt.
Oh, wow.
I could do some
We need
exercise.
allies.
We're gonna definitely come down and be part of that convention to do a program and some challenges which will be beneficial. The ladies told me, hey, Joetta, we need to have this. So we're gonna work through that with Dr. Charlotte and Lucretia.
So y'all get ready for me. I got y'all.
You come down.
We're gonna do some fireman carries, all right?
and before we say so long, and I don't know if she's on the air still, there's a woman who I admired all of my career. I don't know if she's still on, but we had Wyoming Tires was on. And if she's still on, we'd love to talk to you. Wyoming was the 1964 and 65 gold medalist in the Olympics. She was a Tiger Bell, as an HBCU Tiger Bell back in the day. She was the first person to go back to back in the 100 meters, 1968. And 72 Olympic Games. So I don't know if she's on the air. I did see her name. And being an Olympian and being an athlete, when I saw that name, I'm like, what in the world?
You did say
I was
that.
like, wow. I mean, I met her maybe once, but that is just an amazing woman. And she's still here. And she's, you know, a seasoned citizen. And so if we'd like to just talk to you quickly, Ms. Tyers, if you can hear me and if you're on, could you respond?
Hold
Are
on,
you
Mom,
there?
Jarrell again.
Are you there?
No.
Okay.
Jarrell?
Oh,
No.
she's not there. I don't know who that is. That sounds like Gerald, but she's not on, but her picture is still up there. So that was cool. But look, thank you very much for chatting with us this evening. As we say, it doesn't matter what road you take, but what you become along the journey. Thank each and every one of you for taking this journey along with us, the WOCIP journey, the Joe Time journey, whatever journey it is, it's about being extraordinary. And we're going to close on a couple of things. We have something that we want to say to the audience that the month of November was sponsored by WOCIP. And we have December coming up. And what Tyrone and I decided to do was to give back and give an early Christmas treat to our listeners. So for the month of December, we are calling all of our listeners to submit 150 words as to why you should be a guest on our show. We thank you. We have grown to over 300 people. We have grown and we want to thank you. We want to give you the opportunity to talk about your product, to talk about your company, talk about your volunteering. So please go to joetimefitness@gmail.com. This is also on our Facebook page as well, the Joe Time Facebook page. And you wanted to say something about that as well?
You look nice.
Where? They are here.
Both.
Both. Okay, thank you. That's easy. I have a nice. He wants to be the co-host for next year. So that
We comment next year?
Yeah, that comment secured you. That comment secured you for next year. Look, we look forward to seeing.
Let it be after the Super Bowl.
that comment secures you. Look, we have come to a point where we are done, but I just want to say that it's been a pleasure having you ladies on. I will continue to support you and be in touch with you as we move forward. And you are extraordinary. So please remember to check in with WOCIP, find out what careers you have. Good luck to each and every one of you. And to Taj, being a mom, give your daughter
Yes.
my birthday hugs, give her a birthday pinch for good luck. And ladies, let's keep leveling up and doing what we were put here to do, which is make a difference in the lives of others.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Yes, yes, our time is up and we'll see you next week
Yes.
when we talk about our new guest that will be on the show. She will be Ryan Pack. She is from WOCIP as well. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, be safe and be extraordinary.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night,
Good
Joetta.
night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night,
Good
Joetta.
night. Good night.
Good night.
Say good night to me.
Hi, Ty.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody. Good
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 night.
night, everyone.
Night.
Thank you. Good night.